There's the lunch for ya. Hey and welcome back. This is my Falcon Heavy project that was supposed to carry the X-37 US Air Force shuttle, but for a unknown reason the game crashes every single time I'm trying to launch either on top of Falcon or solo on runway. I'm going to wait a little bit and try again after update. Right now the vehicle is approaching booster separation, and there we go. I hope you like my split screen idea here. I've tried so hard to land these boosters, however the SAS freaks out or something and the booster tips over each time. I'm surprised the grid fins work correctly though. So what's hiding inside the fairing? It is something I've actually never done before in KSP. Look, I was given a challenge recently by one of my viewers and they said in the comment I should try building a space station using just 5 parts. The project isn't very sophisticated, however it does look cool, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? You are about to see it now, right when we get rid of the protective shell. Also, I'm flying this craft in a way that the third booster is expendable, as we need all the delta V we can get. I went for a bit of a higher orbit, and that is pretty much where we are gonna separate the second stage that will ultimately carry the cargo to its final destination. Now you're able to see the station in more detail. It's comprised of 2 habitats, smaller and bigger, a single solar panel array, antenna and a docking port. I'm not counting struts as parts here, as it wouldn't be possible to launch without them basically. We're ready to plot our Kerbal escape burn, and I was trying some different options, then settled for a free return trajectory, just for the sake of it, without any valid reason, since there's no crew on board. Now let's time warp around to our maneuver node and execute the burn. I've had to redo the burn several times because I guess the weight distribution is off a little bit, maybe because of the solar panel located just on one side. Finally, I limited the throttle to what you can see on the screen. That's the tipping point on the curve where reaction wheels can still correct for the imbalance, and since we're using the Reliant engine we have no gimbal in this case. The burn takes a bit of time, which, you know, is fine. Time warp tends to mess with the orbit or even doesn't change your orbital line when you're burning fuel. Overall, I like this Falcon Heavy iteration, and I like my Falcon 9. Wait, Falcon 9? What? Yeah, this is a double launch video. Currently, we're carrying our space station that I named Space Lab. No, not the NASA one. This one is going to be placed in lunar orbit. Of course, we need to send our crew and populate the station. I figure it is going to be quite fitting if we use the Falcon 9, but more on that later. A little disclaimer as we approach the moon. If you're wondering where all the build montages have gone, basically I decided to stop including them in my videos for the time being. It's the way I build my ships in this game, it's vomit inducing for others when split up. I think the Falcon Heavy or Falcon 9 that I've built here are simple enough to make it should be able to figure it out just by watching the mission unfold. And speaking of mission, we have arrived at the moon's perigee, where we're gonna execute the retrograde burns so that we can establish an orbit. I wasn't sure what I can actually do with our remaining fuel, so I've carefully and gradually lowered our apogee and perigee. We were finally able to make it work as intended, with basically no fuel left on board after getting the desired orbit. Any second now, there we go, and we can undock the second stage from the station and extend the solar panel, set up the antenna, check and make sure we indeed have just 5 parts, and give our stage its final engine path to get it out of the way. As the stage is slowly getting lost in space, we are able to enjoy our successful mission and the space station finally placed in its desired orbit. Here comes our second launch of the day and its maiden flight, the SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket. I think I got the look of the craft pretty much on point too, with a little exception being the Dragon capsule, but since we have 0 parts in the game right now that would allow to get even close to reality, I had to go with what we already have. I gotta tell you, this launch compared to Falcon Heavy was a breeze honestly. This project just works, that's all. 0 problems on the way, no imbalance. Well, slight hiccup with one of the parachutes in the end, and that's it. Funnily enough, both crafts have the TWR or thrust weight ratio through the roof, so I needed to limit the throttle to around 60 or 70% in both cases. We're using 4 vector engines, the RS-25 replicas on the Falcon 9 and of course 12 of them on Falcon Heavy. We are once again flying in the expendable configuration as we again need all the push we can get. I should have deleted the grid fins, but honestly I love the way the booster looks with them and we wouldn't get much more delta view without them anyway. Meanwhile, we've reached orbit already and are plotting our escape burn again. I decided to not cut the footage of me getting to the moon for transparency reasons and to prove that yes, my Falcon 9 can indeed get there. We didn't have the best launch window possible, but worry not, we can force the encounter using like 60 meters per second of available delta V more. At this point in the mission I was worried despite the previous statement about our fuel. I didn't know what the Dragon engines will be able to achieve, and it was a lot, as we're gonna come back to Kerbal with most of our fuel left. There's the translunar injection execution underway. It is a pretty quick burn due to high thrust and low mass of the craft. And since you've already seen this part before, I'm just gonna let it play out and talk about something else, as to not be too professional. Hope your weekend was nice and calm and fun. I've mostly slept through mine as I was tired from the work week and tired of thinking about the upcoming week, pretty much packed with exams at my high-tech university. I got physics and math exams among other things and I hope I'll be able to ace it or at least pass. It is also the holidays week and I doubt I'll be able to make another video before that time of year arrives. So just in case, I want to wish you all happy holidays and Merry Christmas. If however I manage to make and plan a video for next week, well, I'll wish you the best again. And just like that, we've made it already, so let's just burn retrograde, establish orbit and get rid of the second stage. This is the part of the mission where my heart skipped a bit there when I saw that we got no fuel. Upon further inspection though, it was quite apparent we still indeed have fuel. I just needed to enable crossfit on the decoupler. This is also when I realized we got way too much delta V in this craft and that I probably could have landed or rather crashed the booster and still would have been fine. Better safe than sorry, I guess. What's left to do is to get a rendezvous with the station and basically park our craft there since the station only has the large docking port on one end. I didn't really aim for accuracy because I'm too lazy for that, so I decided to get the ship close enough and do the rest of the way manually. Here you can see me plotting a somewhat okay course and time warping to the desired point in orbit, where I can do the old-fashioned KSP-1 docking way. Lose all the speed relative to target, then burn towards target, and so on until you get close. The engines that we have on the Dragon are perfect for maneuvers like that due to their low thrust, and makes for a finer control over the velocity. Obvious downside is that the more massive burns require a lot of time spent burning at real time. I guess you get the idea of docking like that, so we can safely cut the clip to where I kind of overshot the station when trying to get to the day side of the moon so you can see better what's happening on screen. I am quite happy with the outcome as we are able to look at Kerbal in the background as we get closer and closer to the station. It is also a chance for you to look at the Dragon in more detail. It's like a 50-50 situation for me, to be fair. I enjoy the way it handles and I like the look of the service module, but the capsule is quite far from perfect. Yeah, we are indeed getting closer. I got some rotation problems there. I'm trying to point the ship in the correct direction to lose all of the velocity. And this is also the point of the video where I switched from the scripted part that I was writing and to the more non-scripted part. I guess it's just been a while for me since I made a video like that, so I'd say it's quite hard for me to just wing it. For now though, let's just transfer our crew into the station. It has no docking port, the correct size, so I can't dock the Dragon, and still drifting away because I wasn't really able to get it perfectly still. The idea in my head with the size of the station and those two habitation modules is that the Kerbals, I kind of missed the ladder, that the Kerbals will be able to get some space in there since they're probably staying in there forever. And honestly, we didn't need a second solar panel or anything. And just like that, it's time to get back home. I'm trying to get a somewhat a cheap encounter with Kerbal, but I couldn't really be bothered. So I'm just gonna force the encounter by dragging all the markers I can until we get the perigee at around 8k. And then we're gonna end up at, I think, 5 kilometers in the end after the burn. And yeah, we gotta do like a 3-minute burn in real time. I mean, it's faster for you because I'm speeding up the footage, but I couldn't really be bothered with trying to time warp when I'm burning because the game just glitches out. Well, we are definitely getting some great visuals in this video. The moon, the sun, Kerbal in the background almost all the time. And I also like the grid fins on the dragon. I know I'm all over the place with the commentary. I honestly have no idea what else I can tell you during a burn. That'll probably be the time to mention the sponsor of the video for the second time, but there's no sponsor of the video, so I'm not gonna mention the sponsor of the video. I also kinda noticed that all my mod missions recently that I've done on screen and off screen for you guys basically look the same when it comes to the return. I just force it and just directly enter the atmosphere at a very high speed and don't really care about it. Would it be considered Kerbal torture if they get all the G's that they can possibly get? In all fairness, this is Jev on board and he can withstand anything. He could probably walk on the sun if he wanted to. As all good things in life end though, the mission is coming to an end as well, and all that's left to do is to just deploy our parachutes quite too late, to be fair, and for some reason our third chute doesn't want to open. I have no idea why. That's why we are kinda crooked, but still we're able to land properly. So thank you for suggesting the mission idea. I kinda took it a little bit further. And I wish you happy holidays, and I'll see you in another one. Take care.